With the Clone Wars now in full swing, no corner of the galaxy was safe from the onslaught that was unfolding. All the tension that had been held back for so long was fueling the seemingly unending conflict. Despite mounting losses, both sides still hoped to find a knockout blow, or a weapon that could bring their opponents to the table and end the war. Welcome to the Wizards and Warriors channel. We're glad to have you with us on our next installment in the Star Wars universe. So, as is our custom, we invite you to get comfortable and grab any snacks and beverages you may wish for as we recount the tale of the war's first foray into superweapons, with the hunt for the Malevolence. Not long after the Republic's victory on Christophsis, they managed to similarly secure Dantooine. These twin victories on opposite sides of the galaxy bolstered the faltering morale of those within the Republic, who were beginning to fear the innumerable droid army would be unstoppable. But stopped they were, at least for now. Seeing that separatist operations on Christophsis were a loss, Count Dooku elected to try a different route, this time hoping to secure access to hyperlanes across Hutt space, as the Hutts had yet to side with either belligerent, despite both sides trying to negotiate. Instead, they intended to wait until the most lucrative deal arose. Dooku, however, would not wait, as the Republic was inclined to do. He hatched a plot in hopes of turning the leader of the Hutts, Jabba, against the Republic. To this end, he recalled his disciple, Asajj Ventress, from the front at Christophsis and sent her on a mission to kidnap Rotta, the son of Jabba. She succeeded, and brought the Huttlet to the jungle planet of Teth. Dooku's plan continued to unfold as he hoped. The Jedi discovered and rescued the Huttlet, but a recording of the rescue was sent by Dooku to the Hutts, framing the Jedi as the culprits behind the initial kidnapping. In response, Jabba cut off all communication with the Republic and demanded his child's return before he was willing to agree to any proposal from the Separatists either. With his victory now at hand, Dooku ordered the young Hutt to be recaptured. This is where the plan began to unravel. Not only did Asajj fail to stop the Jedi from bringing Rotta back to Jabba, but Dooku's co-conspirator, Zero the Hutt, Jabba's uncle, was also arrested on Coruscant by the Guard under Commander Fox, with information provided by Senator Padme Amidala, who had discovered the plot. Amidala informed Jabba of Dooku's treachery, causing him to gladly sign a treaty with the Republic, delivering a major blow to the CIS. This setback, while not a coup de grace, needed to be reversed, or at least answered if the Confederacy hoped to maintain the faith of its citizens. They planned their next assault upon another target along the crucial Corellian run. This time it would be the Twi'lek planet of Ryloth. We won't go into detail about the Battle of Ryloth just yet, as we plan to cover it in a future video. So for now, we will talk about what transpired after the start of the invasion. Like Christophsis before it, Ryloth sought to be a neutral planet, despite still being a member of the Republic, which maintained a small garrison on the world. But with its place on a major hyperspace lane, it was only a matter of when it would be attacked, rather than if. When the CIS forces under Wat Tambor attacked, Ryloth couldn't stand against the initial assault, and Separatist forces were able to eliminate the Republic fleet that kept the supply lines to Ryloth open. With supplies cut off and the planet occupied, the natives of Ryloth began to starve, as the planet itself had meager local food sources. Republic Senator Bail Organa from Alderaan stepped into the scene on behalf of the Jedi High Council, who sent him to negotiate with the leader of Toydaria, King Katunko, in the hopes of the Toydarians sponsoring a humanitarian relief effort. Organa failed to get King Katunko to agree to this thanks to the CIS also sending a delegate, but Katunko did allow Organa to secretly send the ships from Toydaria, which still counted to the Republic and Twi'leks as a win. The CIS began to worry, as their initially overwhelming numerical advantage was starting to become moot, with the Republic finding their footing and producing more ships and clones. The Jedi were also becoming more proficient commanding them. Realizing that numbers alone could no longer win the day, and still believing in the need for a decisive victory, the CIS would resort to trying to win through the use of superior technology. The CIS already relied heavily on technology, with the vast amount of their forces being automated, but in this case, they sought technology powerful enough to single-handedly win battles. The members of the CIS had interests in the field of technological development even prior to the war, looking into ships, battle stations, and even biochemical warfare with the production of a new airborne version of the infamous Blue Shadow virus. But this, like many of their plans, would fail to materialize, either due to budget or sabotage by the Republic. The first foray into this field, however, was with the new Subjugator-class heavy cruiser design. The Subjugator class were some of the largest ships produced up to that time, and were far larger than anything the Republic actively fielded. This ship shared a similar design language with the Providence-class carrier-destroyer, as both originated from the Freedak Engineering Corps and shipyards of Pamont. While there are a number of differences with the Providence, primarily in terms of quantity and sheer size, the main difference was the two experimental ion pulse cannons located on either side of the ship. These were directly connected to the ship's reactor, and when fired, they would release a ring-shaped ion wave that would cripple a ship's electronic components, rendering it inoperable for a time. The first of these to be built was named the Malevolence, and was sent to Count Dooku for him to inspect. While he was impressed with the ship, he decided he needed it to be field-tested before he could give it any formal duty. This test would have to be conducted in a manner that didn't draw the Republic's attention. He gave the duty of running these tests to his most trusted subordinate, the Kalish cyborg General Grievous. Though we have yet to mention him, General Grievous had been very active in the war, and has developed a fierce reputation by the time he came to command the Malevolence. He was not only made Supreme Commander of the droid armies, but had come to be known as a capable general and a terrifying combatant. Many in the Republic believed him to be an unstoppable Jedi killer, a theory supported by his extensive collection of lightsabers taken from fallen opponents. Grievous was none too pleased with being seen as a droid, but he certainly lived up to the rest of his reputation as he plundered his way across worlds. He led the CIS armies to numerous victories, with no care for a given world's inhabitants, solely driven to complete his appointed task and to kill his most hated enemies, the Jedi, wherever he found them. With his new flagship, Grievous began to perform his orders to the letter, attacking and eliminating any force he came across, leaving no witnesses to report on the new secret weapon of the Separatists. The majority of his attacks, however, were concentrated upon the Open Circle fleet, which made up the majority of the force sent to Christophsis. Despite the attempts at secrecy, it became widely believed that these losses to an unidentified foe were in fact caused by General Grievous, as Republic intelligence had discovered he had been placed in command of some new type of weapon. With the rumors that this weapon was the cause of recent losses, combined with the general's reputation, the Republic was actively on the lookout for the ship responsible. Under such scrutiny, Grievous could only keep himself hidden for so long, and he eventually came upon a fleet under the command of Jedi Master Ares Noon within the Fu system. This ambush was yet another success for Grievous tactically, as he destroyed the fleet and its commander. But this victory, more importantly, brought the attention of the Jedi High Council. Since a Jedi had been lost, they determined it was the ship they were looking for, and so sent forth the Republic's 4th Fleet under Jedi Master Plo Koon, who tracked Grievous and the Malevolence to the Abrogado system. General Plo Koon arrived and found his target. Seeing that the ship was preparing for battle, he did likewise, and the Republic fleet slowly approached their foe. Before they were in range, Grievous fired the massive ion cannon and took out the Republic's systems. Plo Koon ordered an immediate evacuation, as the Malevolence unleashed its firepower, destroying the fleet as it lay helpless in space. Plo Koon survived the initial carnage, as he and a number of clones made it to escape pods, but they were still in peril, as Grievous sent out hunter droids to search the debris field for any survivors. Luckily for Plo Koon, General Skywalker and his Padawan Ahsoka Tano arrived not long after the Council had lost contact with the fleet. Skywalker was ordered to continue his mission of protecting supply convoys, but he instead decided to look for Plo Koon. In his small Corellian light freighter, he searched the wreckage until he found Plo Koon and a number of clones, arriving just in time, as the survivors were desperately trying to hold off the hunting droids. After picking them up, Skywalker tried to beat a hasty retreat, but the Malevolence had detected them, and fired its ion cannon yet again. This time it couldn't catch its target, as Skywalker cleared the debris field and jumped into hyperspace. This event greatly displeased Count Dooku, as not only had Grievous failed in destroying Skywalker, but the survivors of the 4th Fleet had escaped with knowledge about the CIS superweapon which the Republic was so desperate to obtain. Still, Dooku had Grievous remain in command of the Malevolence and continue his chevauchée. Dooku then decided to consult with Darth Sidious on what to do now that the Republic had discovered their secret weapon. Grievous quickly departed the system and began to concentrate his attacks on medical convoys, striking them from the Rindelia system. Seeing an opportunity in this, Dooku ordered Grievous to attack the Khalida Shoals Medical Center, which was secretly located within the Rindelia system, information that Dooku had obtained from his master Sidious. With a successful strike on this station, not only would the Republic lose an important medical facility in the Outer Rim, but they would also lose the 60,000 clones convalescing there. Meanwhile, the Republic acted rapidly on the information provided by Plo Koon and the other survivors. The Jedi Council commissioned Skywalker and Plo Koon to hunt down and destroy the Malevolence. After a brief meeting discussing the likely whereabouts of Grievous, they rightly deduced that his next target would be the Khalida Shoals station, based on prior patterns. Coming to this conclusion, they set their plan in motion. Believing Grievous would make slow progress due to the nearby Khalida Nebula, Skywalker and Plo Koon took a bomber squadron from their force, codenamed Shadow Squadron, and planned to chart a shortcut located in the nebula known as the Balmorra Run, in order to reach the station and hold off Malevolence until Admiral Yularen and General Kenobi arrived with the main force. Grievous was made aware by Dooku that the Republic had sent a dedicated strike force under Skywalker to hunt him. Despite this information, Grievous, buoyed by his string of victories, was confident that he could take on anything the Republic sent. It was with this mindset that he arrived at the station, though it wasn't long before he was set upon in the rear by Shadow Squadron. Seeing the arriving threat, as well as the station deploying medical evacs, Grievous was not content with focusing on Skywalker and letting his primary targets on the station get away. He ordered an ion pulse which crippled a number of the fleeing vessels, while also wheeling the ship about to face the oncoming threat, and deployed his own starfighters to slow them down. Skywalker and his force had no intention of letting the Hyena droids accomplish their task, as Shadow Squadron blasted through them, driving towards the Malevolence. Their primary target was the bridge, where they determined Grievous was. With him gone, the chain of command would fall apart. Grievous released another ion pulse once he had faced broadside to Shadow Squadron, taking out half of the squadron and doing critical damage. The medical staff on station began lamenting that all hope had been lost. Skywalker, however, had not lost hope. He charged ahead, still taking casualties, as the many turrets of the Malevolence unleashed fire upon what remained of Shadow Squadron. It was at this critical moment that Plo Koon proposed a solution. Grievous had once more begun charging the gun, this time planning to unleash it upon the station, where its effect would be devastating. Plo Koon told Skywalker that they might have a chance of overloading it if they could target it before it fired. Seeing the merit in this, Skywalker directed the squadron to its new course and, with moments to spare, unleashed their payload on the portside ion disc. Grievous, unaware of where they had been struck, ordered the cannon fired immediately, overloading the cannon as Plo Koon had predicted, and causing a crippling explosion that destroyed both cannons along with many of the ship's systems, including the shields and the hyperdrive, thanks to the cannon's connection to the reactor as previously mentioned. Skywalker, now victorious, made his way to the station just as Master Kenobi arrived with the fleet. Kenobi, after congratulating Skywalker, took over for him and began to pursue the Malevolence. Though the ship was severely damaged, its sheer size made it nearly impossible to take down by firepower alone, though Kenobi's fleet persistently bombarded it in a relentless pursuit. Grievous would have a respite, however, as Dooku had arranged for a nearby senator, one Padme Amidala, to be rerouted towards his position. Grievous was to take the senator hostage, forcing the Jedi to hold their fire, thereby giving Grievous the time he needed to restore the hyperdrive and join a nearby separatist fleet waiting to support him. They were able to capture the senator's ship, but this plan only ended up backfiring. The capture of the senator prompted Kenobi and Skywalker, who had now rejoined him, to infiltrate the Malevolence, where they not only rescued the senator, but sabotaged the ship's navicomputer. Grievous, believing that the hyperdrive had been restored, ordered the ship to rendezvous with Dooku, whilst he pursued the Jedi in his personal fighter in his bid to hunt them down, telling the flagship's crew that he'd rejoin them later. Acting diligently to execute his order, the droids set the ship in motion, only for it to promptly turn towards a nearby moon and crash into it, thanks to Skywalker's sabotage. The Malevolence, the prize ship of the CIS, had been destroyed. Though the ship was ultimately lost, it demonstrated great potential during its short service. This setback would not dampen the Separatists' belief in superweapons. Rather, the failure would be pinned on General Grievous, who was seen as a good warrior but a negligent admiral, and thus would be confined to ships of much smaller caliber for the majority of the war. The Republic, meanwhile, had found a victory, not just in that such a massive ship had been defeated by their forces, but also in the defeat of the previously invincible-seeming cyborg commander. The campaign of cat and mouse with the Malevolence was a major blow to the CIS's early ambitions, but battles of even greater scale and strategic importance were still to come as the Clone Wars raged on. To make sure you learn about those, subscribe and press the bell button. Please consider liking, commenting and sharing, it helps immensely. Our videos would be impossible without our kind patrons and YouTube channel members, whose ranks you can join via the links in the description to know our schedule, get early access to our videos, access our Discord, and much more. This is the Wizards and Warriors channel, and we will catch you on the next one.